Hello, everyone. The book is Taken the Floor. The author is Daniel Beunza. Daniel Beunza is a professor at Cass Business School and also was a professor at the London School of Economics, where he continues to be significantly involved and where we had the opportunity to share a couple of classes in which he invited me to give some keynote speeches to his students a few years ago. The book Taken the Floor is absolutely essential for anybody that wants to understand how markets work and the challenges of the model-based investment banking and trading platforms that we know today. Daniel, hi, how are you?
Hello, and thank you very much, Daniel, for having me here.
It's an absolute pleasure. And what I would like to start with is asking, why should we read your book right now?
Well, thank you. I think that after more than 10 years after the global financial crisis of 2008, the surprise is that both executives in banks and regulators continue to struggle with the problem of how to manage risk. And so the way in which this has been done relies almost exclusively in the use of financial models. And what the book does is it argues that when you rely on models exclusively for the management of risk, you are running the risk of important unanticipated consequences that can make the problems bigger than you anticipate.
One of the things that I find fascinating about the book is how this process of relying mostly on models has led to organizations in which some of the people that of the characters in the book actually have quite a level of confidence about how things are being managed, because there seems to be a system in place that they know nothing about. They simply believe that it works because it should. No, and you with in the second part of the book, what you do is actually present some of the flaws that come from making the system even more detached from personal responsibility. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, by all means. So it is by all means true that if one takes a bit of distance and looks at the way in which Wall Street is dominated nowadays by the use of not just models, but in general quantitative tools, it's really something of wonder. And indeed, many of the characters that I present are by all means taken by the importance of these tools. They come from the world of statistics, they come from the world of mathematics, and they are extremely attached to the models because they believe that the use of models eliminates problematic biases and individual mistakes. Now, the joy of writing this book is that I was able to tap into the different opinions of different people. And in one of the most memorable sentences that I was able to hear, a different trader, himself also trained in mathematics, but perhaps with a bit more experience, he said to me, Daniel, the thing to keep in mind is that mommy and daddy are not driving the car. At the beginning, I didn't quite understand what that meant. But I think that you very nicely summarized this, Daniel, when you said that, it's not that somebody else is taking care of the system. And I think that this was also the realization of those traders back in 2008 that lost a billion, 2 billion, 3 billion, and they almost ran their bank into the ground. And the reason for it is that actually nobody is taking care of the problem. The problem is a problem that you yourself have to take care of, and that your manager should be on top of as well.
Mhm. One of the very interesting things about the book is that you give solutions, that you give credible and actionable solutions that could significantly help reduce the level of risk that financial institutions take. But what I find most interesting about it is that your proposal is actually not to increase the level of regulation and increase the level of norms to which financial institutions need to be attached, but to increase personal responsibility and to include a number of tools, both technological and personal, that allow the different entities to manage risk adequately, precisely by returning power to the risk manager. Please tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, by all means. So the book connects with a tradition of liberal thought in which individuals are seen to be able to self-adjust and adapt without the need for an external influence and control. What the book diagnoses as the core of the challenge is the use of models for the purpose of control. It's important to distinguish these from the use of models for the purpose of valuation, because those are typically the problems that other studies have highlighted in presenting, why did the financial crisis of '08 take place? But that's not what I found. What I found instead is that what is really problematic is the use of models for the purpose of control.
Yeah.
Now, why is it that banks resort to models? Why is it that regulators also resort to models for the purpose of restraining banks? Well, the reason is that they come in very handy. You are trying to manage others from the distance. You are trying to manage an empire. And so what tools do you have within your reach? And it's very tempting to quantify the positions and the risk associated to the positions that all your traders have, and then introduce mechanistic rules, such as, whenever the value at risk exceeds that level, that trader has to close the position. The problem with that is that when traders experience a perception of unfairness, then they feel unfairly treated, and then they go on to mistreat the bank and potentially the customers. And so in order to address that and to fix that, what the book does is it goes back to the root of the problem, which is control at a distance. And what it suggests instead is proximate control.
Yeah.
Is controlled by the figure of the manager, the person who is in charge of the trading floor. And that person needs to have himself, others around him that are closely attached to the traders, having daily conversations if necessary, and understanding exactly what is going on with those trades. Because it's only them, I claim, and not the model, who is able to get a sense of what is the true risk associated with a position.
And I think that this is critical, because it's not saying that you should not use models. As you very well say, models are very good as tools to analyze valuations, different metrics, but not as a tool for control, let alone as a tool to withdraw responsibility from the managers, because it creates both disincentives and incentives, and a disincentive to continue to excel, and an incentive, unfortunately, to just play the system and navigate through it. And I think that that is a critical factor, and also in understanding the role, the complex role, but at the same time the very important role of risk management, and the difference between increasing regulation, normativism, relative to having a solid, simple, and effective regulation, and coming back to the individuals, which is what matters in an organization, however big it is.
By all means. And so perhaps something to have in mind is the world of investment banking partnerships that was dominating the financial system in the UK before the Big Bang, and in the US before the NYC began to loosen the restrictions for the partnerships that were making up the actors on the floor. So it's that world of investment banking partnerships where people had a lot at stake, and where the partners were talking to each other regularly, that the protagonist of my book looks up to. And he's not looking to go back to the past. That's never possible. He's not a Luddite. He doesn't want to reject technology. But I think that the key thing to have in mind is how can we borrow elements from that world to introduce a better future?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, the book is Taken the Floor, the author, Daniel Beunza, and you should read it because if you really want to understand how markets work and how trading floors work, it not only tells you how, but it also tells you a lot about the solutions to avoid complex problems of massive levels of risk taking. Thank you very much, Daniel, for this opportunity, and looking forward to the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, leave your comments below, and keep defending freedom. Thank you very much.